Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Coffee and Craps. I'm John from Pro Craps. Good to have you all here. I'm going to fix the volume a little bit. Yeah. Hey, honey, beginnings. Thanks for reminding everybody to like the video. That's awesome. We're going to go right to Craps today. I've got a video. We're actually going to go live later on tonight to talk about the Crapsathon and break it all down. Lots of good information there. I don't want to dilute the content for this morning's video, which is back to my normal rhythm here. With that, we'll talk about that tonight at 5 o'clock Pacific time. So join me there for that for sure. Yeah, you're having your middle of eating lunch, I know. In the mornings, it's 8 o'clock in the morning for me. I'm with my Hawaii Crap Shooters mug, by the way. Good morning, Brian. Yeah, today I want to talk to you about strategy breakdowns. So a lot of this came up with my interview with Jacob, and he has said this on his channel too. And I think it's an important point for us all to remember as content providers, right? There's times where we're doing videos and we're looking, hey, here's so-and-so's video, or here's whatever. And we talk about it, we roll it out, we give an opinion on it. And Greg's famous for this too. Greg does a lot of opinions on videos. And I tend not to do that very much with other people's strategies, but I'm going to do it today and actually all this week. I'm going to be rolling out one strategy, I think, for the whole week. I'm going to work through a strategy called the Butterburg, which Dantana357, visit his channel, by the way. I'll put a link to his channel in the description. That it's his thing, right? So what I'm going to do with his strategy is I'm going to break it down a little bit and show you the way that I go through a strategy and sort of give it a grade, break down and analyze it before I play it, number one, and then how I practice it out. So we're going to practice the same strategy all week long. I'm going to do my best to take notes as we go as to how things went, and I'll show you the things that I care about and the way that I kind of get into it. I know Greg does a good job of this too, and Greg hasn't really gone through his process yet. I'm hoping that this one sparks him to do that, because I'd like to see how Greg goes through a strategy and says, yes, gets the 555 thumbs of approval or not. And I'll show you the way that I do it. And this is like every strategy that I show you, my come ladder, the border strategy, the hunting odds, the horseman. I've done this same work for all those strategies. I just haven't shared it with you because it's boring to some degree to go through this stuff. But today I'm gonna go ahead and try and bore you as best as I can, because I think it's important to see exactly how I think a strategy should be looked at and how we kind of suss out whether it's worth playing or not, and really knowing where the danger points are. So let's take a look here at a couple of things. I'm going to show you some notes here. Here's how I break a strategy down. First of all, we look at how expensive it is. And not every strategy can be scaled. Some strategies can be scaled. I'll give you an example. Charlie, Drunk Guy Explains was on, and his strategies are largely, not all, but there's a lot of chasing, a lot of martingaling. And you can play them at lower levels, but it's more difficult. You need to put stop limits on, and it kind of limits what the strategy, how it sings when it works. You need a big bankroll for that. Some strategies are made for smaller bankrolls that you can last a little longer. So I look at first, is it an expensive strategy? If I've got $350 to go to the casino with today, or if I've got $1,500, I might take a different strategy with me because my goals might be different. That's an important thing. I think we look at volatility, and Greg does a great job of talking about how volatile a strategy is. I'm going to show you today. Again, I'm always into my rack. I'm going to show you how the rack works. Volatility is expressed to me, visually to me, with the rack. How deep do I get into that rack? Am I going from starting with 10 shooters? Am I ever getting down to one shooter left? That's a volatile strategy. If it fails enough times to where I'm down to that last shooter out of 10, you should never be in that situation, right? Hopefully your strategies are solid enough they can last and progress and build before you get through 9 shooters in a row of getting your butt kicked. So is it volatile? In other words, is there huge swings and huge misses of success and failure in a strategy? Is it all or nothing? That's a volatile strategy. So we're going to look at that. I like to analyze and kind of call out where are my win and loss conditions. In other words, what makes me win? What makes me lose? And at the same time, how much do you lose? What percentage of your table spread or your bankroll is lost with a win or loss condition, especially the loss condition? That's a big thing to look at. Is if I brought $1,000 and one loss could wipe out a third of it. That's a big deal. It could be part of your strategy. It could be the way that you want to play it, but that's still a big deal. So I analyze that. And then I really take a look at this. The last thing is important, the rollout type performance. In other words, what does my strategy do on a come out roll? Does it even care about a come out roll? But if it's on a come out roll, how volatile is it? Is there danger there? How does it perform on a roll that only has a 1 or a 2 length to it, or a 3 to 5 length, or a 6 to 10, or an over 11 length? Those are important things to know. And remember this, a 1 and a 2 length roll, you're thinking, oh, the 7 kills it. Sometimes you're on the don't, and a 1 or 2 length roll takes away your don't pass bet. Sometimes you're on a hybrid where you have a don't pass bet and some place bets, and a 1 or 2 length roll is a break even, but you're just kind of treading water over and over again. Sometimes 1 and 2 rolls, if you're on a don't, that's not big enough to cover your place bets, and the point gets hit. You lose every time that happens. And that'll happen today, actually, when you see it. So, and what's the goal of the strategy? Number one thing to know is, what's the goal of our strategy? Is the goal of the strategy to double our bankroll? Is the goal of the strategy to win 20%? Is it a quick hitter? Are you looking to get in and get out fast? Are you looking to grind for a long time? And again, those are all viable options, but you got to know what the goal of that strategy is and where does it perform best. I think that's an important thing to remember. So with all that said, those are the things that I'm going to be looking at today when I break the Butterburg down. And I will get to rolling it out for sure. And I'll roll it out again and again and again, because I have ideas on this thing, and I'm going to roll out my version of it. So here's the way the Butterburg normally works. This is the way that Dan Tana puts it out. It's a $100 do we don't. Now, right off the bat, I will tell you, I'm not a fan of that bet for a number of reasons. Personally, I can't do it. Right? My casinos do not let us do the Butterburg or the do we don't. You're not allowed to have a hedged bet on the come out. They won't allow it. So I can't even. My version, I can't pursue that. So that's one piece of it. I can do the Andre, which is a higher pass line than don't pass line. That you're allowed to do, but you can't. Every bet has to win or lose table minimum. That's our rules here in Seattle. But then he puts $600 in odds on the point once it's established. He goes $640 across, which is a huge. Now you're getting in a huge bankroll time here. This can, of course, be scaled back if you want to, and I do scale it back a little bit. He takes one roll. He calls it the sacrificial roll, where his bets are off. He puts them out there but turns them off. Ostensibly, that's to beat the 0.7 out. Once that roll's over with, then he goes out, turns everything on. As the place bets win, he pulls the winnings to his rack and turns that bet off. Okay, I will do it by pulling the bet down. You'll see how that works today. He takes between 1 and 3 hits, turns everything off, and that's the Butterburg. It's a cool system because it's always pulling money back, right? Always pulling money back, which I like about that. There is some inherent risk in it that we're going to see. I play this a little different. I'm going to come out right away. No, he does play. Oh, he doesn't play the point. You're right. He skips the point. I don't. Actually, I play it like this. I play it differently. And again, because I don't do the do we don't. So I do $100 don't pass unprotected, and we'll talk about that. I do 160 across. I win and pull the green chips in, and then I have 3 options with the red chips. And this is and Dan Tana, you could do this with your extra money on the caps there. With the red chips, I can pull them in with the greens. I can place them, or I can put them in the don't come. This gives me options, this strategy. I have a whole day planned here this week where we're going to look at the options that I play the Butterburg with and how I drive to a different outcome with my bets based on the table trend and the table heat with the red chips. So I do it without protection because I can't do it unless I Andre it. When you Andre it, though, you're bringing way more money, and you're not getting the juice that you need out of this. And I'll explain to you why. You need so much bankroll to get through it that way. I think the goal of this strategy is not to win on the don't. I want to go back to the goal screen. And Dan, you're here. You can correct me if I'm wrong. The goal of this strategy is not to win the don't pass bet. It's not to win the don't pass odds bet. The goal of the strategy is to win in the place numbers. That don't pass bet is there to save the place numbers while you're in the process of doing that. How many hits you take, up to you, right? And when you get to that nexus point, then you make your decision. And that's where the options come in. So once I get to a point, I make decisions. Like, what am I going to do with the rest of my chips and how's it going to play out? I'm going to play this thing pretty aggressively. I like to see this thing win all 6 numbers. And I've done it a few times where it does exactly that. So I'm going to go to the table here and I'm going to show you, let me turn the camera on too. I'm going to show you how this thing looks and how I break it down in terms of all the other factors we talked about. So let's go over here. I'll turn on my camera. Sorry for the black screen there. It should be on here in a second. There it is. All right. So let's break it down. First things first, let me get the light on here. I've got one bet cycle set out here for you. I've got $100 on the don't pass, unprotected. Okay, you could do this if you're in a casino that allows it. If a point gets established, let's just say it's an 8. Okay, you have your 160 across. We'll talk about that in a minute. I put the caps so you can see them. What you could do at this point with 150 out here, to protect 150, you'd need at least a $300 lay on the don't pass. Now your entire lay is what covers this. So now I've got 300 at risk to the 8 to cover 150. You could do it for less, right? You can come out there for 100.5 or something like that. 100.5 to win 100, right? That would work too. That would win obviously less. Would win less than what you're at risk for. That's fine. You're using your odds though to protect the place bets, which means you got to put more out there than you have. The way I do it is this. I decided to not have the do we don't and play odds. I think that I'm going to go out here for less. I cover 100 of my 160. I cover a little tiny bit less than that, than what I'm out there for, which to me is okay. Like, I'll accept that little bit of risk of having a little bit less coverage here, but I want a flat bet down there. I think the flat bet is where I'm more in tune with safety, right? I don't want to have that much bankroll. To me, having 100 out there to do this versus having to have 200, $500 out there on the don't pass every single time. If the point gets hit, you're getting whacked for $300 versus getting whacked for $100. I'll take that risk, right? I'd rather lose 100 on the point and also be at risk on the come out. Now we can talk about the come out. You can do all sorts of things on the come out. You could hop the 7s, you could do the ante 7, you could do Jeff at Mid-Atlantic Craps yesterday rolled this out with the back wall being laid for enough to cover this, which is cool. When you hop the 7, when you ante 7, when you back wall lay, you're inherently taking a loss on every single come out roll. You're going to lose $22 or $23, whatever it is on the ante 7. You're going to lose $18 to $19 on the hopping 7s. You're going to lose $30 to $40 on the back wall lay. Those bets have to pay more than 4 times to make it worth saving this thing. And that's an important piece to remember. If you're going to try and hedge this bet right here with some other thing that's going to lose every single time, you're going to lose the hopping 7, the ante 7, or the up top back wall lay. That thing has to pay 4 times, 1 in 4 times rather, to make it worth saving. Otherwise, you're just blowing money. It feels like you're doing a good deal, but you're blowing money. So I'm going to go ahead and leave this thing unprotected. We'll be wide open for the come out 7. We'll have to just deal with that. If it happens, it happens. We're going to mark how many times it happens. When I break a strategy down like this, I look at where's my loss points. The first loss point is come out 7. I'm going to track how many times we get beat on a come out 7 to see is it worth saving or not. And because I'm going to do this all week long, we're going to get multiple looks at how that actually plays out. How bad is it to have $100 on the don't pass unprotected like this? So we're going to track how many times it happens, but I know my first danger point is right now when I'm throwing those dice to get out of the box. That's going to be the first thing. Once a point is established, and again, we use the 8, the point doesn't really matter at this point of the conversation. The Butterburg is based on doing this. I'm going to lay the chips out here in front. As a bet comes in and wins, let's say the 9 comes in. The 9 pays $35. You're going to take your 9 bet down I'll leave the wins right here in front. You take the 9 bet down and the winnings. What happens now? So let's rewind one step. First things first. Let's say that the worst case scenario, the point gets hit. In this case, the point gets hit. Let's say it's the 8. The point gets hit, it's 8. You're gonna get paid 35 bucks. You'd pull this to your rack, right? You would win on the don't pass. I'm gonna pay the don't pass win visually here from what's left out front. I wanna show you what's gonna happen. We're gonna pay the 100 bucks, 1, 2, 3, 4, from what we had out there in action. We're gonna lose what we had out there. The $30 on the 8 and the $5 that was left over from the last payment. Watch what happens. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, and a nickel profit. If that happens, right? If we get the immediate point, it feels like it sucks, you actually come out a little bit ahead on that. It's not ideal. That's part of the grind here, right? But on a short roll of an immediate point, you're gonna be okay. Even with a less or a one hit and then a point, you're less. If the point hits on the first shot, you're screwed, right? The point hits immediately, you're gonna lose your 100 bucks, you're gonna win 35 bucks. Now you gotta fight back to win the money that you lost. So your two big danger points here for this $100 bet are the come out roll, huge exposure to the 7. The very next roll, huge exposure to whatever the point happens to be. That's the point where you can get your clock cleaned in this strategy. Assuming you can avoid the point getting hit for one roll at least, you're gonna end up being probably okay. Even if a 7 comes, you saw that we're covered if a 7 comes. If the point comes after a number gets hit, you're gonna lose 100 bucks, but you have all this stuff in action. And you're gonna be okay. We can fight through that. And I'm gonna work the strategy today where I fight shooter by shooter and keep the volatility low. You know, the way that I work things is I always have one shooter that I'm working on the whole time. Until that shooter 7's out, I work with that shooter's money. I'm not gonna dig back into the rack for other shooters' money to make up bets that I lost. I'm gonna work one shooter through. And again, that's where I differ from Dan on this, but I work this thing, I work it like an old horse, man. I make this money work really, really hard for me. That's the idea and the way that I work this thing. Now, the next piece to talk about, and we'll get more into this probably tomorrow or maybe Thursday, is how do you handle your wins with this thing? So let's look at all of it here. Let's say that the magical roll happens and it all wins. VIGs aside, you're gonna get paid 50 on the 4 and 10. You'd get paid 35 on each of these numbers in the middle. Okay, if you get the miracle roll where all of this happens, pretty good looking profit right there as far as I can tell. It's 50, 100, 50, 100. It's 210, 20, 30, 40, 240 profit if the roll goes according to plan. So if you go back to my other screen where I say, where's my danger points? Danger points are come out 7 and immediate point. Following that, we know that we can break pretty much even if the point number gets hit or if the 7 gets hit, we're gonna be okay. If it goes according to plan, you do pretty well, you get 240. What I'm gonna talk to you about is later on is what do you do with the reds? This will be tomorrow's discussion. How do you handle the red money? Because what I wanna do, I'm all about rack and greens. I'm all about rack and color, right? If I can get that into my rack right there, that's what I'm looking for. This right here is gonna be fun money. We talked about playing with plus money. The reds in this strategy here are gonna be plus money. And Brian, I see your comment here about, I should put it, don't forget about the 11. I don't sweat the 11. I mean, I could. I mean, to me, the 11 is a 5. I could hedge it for $5 if I wanted to. And maybe today I'll get beat by it. We'll see. We'll try and track. I'm gonna put white chips in the E's and in the NE7s to see how many times we got beat on the come outs by those numbers, just to get a lens on it. It's not gonna be scientific because I'm gonna roll a few times today. But that's the thing. So anyway, we're looking at a possible win of 240. And like any strategy where you have place bets in the mix, right? On any one of those bets, you could beat the come out, get a point hit, get one, lock up 35 bucks, turn everything off and wait till the next round. You could 100% take one hit and turn your stuff off and wait. You could take 2 hits, turn your stuff off and wait, and then come back for the next one. Totally fine to do that. And in fact, that's how Dan plays this. He'll take 2 or 3 hits, depending on bankroll status and table trend, and lock everything down. I'm gonna play this thing all the way through. I'm gonna be as volatile and aggressive as I can today and play this thing all the way, trying to clear the board. I'm gonna try and clear the board on every single shooter. It's very aggressive. It's not the way that Dan would probably play it, but I want you to see if we can get a couple of times for this thing to hit, how that looks, okay? So here we go. I'm gonna start rolling it out and we'll call things out as they happen. I'm gonna move my rack back to here just so I can reach it better. Hopefully you can still see that in the screen, okay? Without the shadows. Boy, that light is a lot of shadow. It's unfortunate. I'm gonna change the angle of it so it's not quite so. I had it moved yesterday for the Crafts-a-thon and there, that's probably a little better. Not quite as shadowy. All right, so I've got in my rack 1, 2, 3, 4 shooters. Here's shooter number 5. I'm gonna run 5 shooters through it. Now I've got a shooter out here. I've got one shooter in action already, so I'm gonna take this shooter and put it in the bank. We're gonna play 5 instead of 10 today because of time reasons. We're gonna see what our volatility looks like, all right? So to win 20% of our bankroll means winning 1 additional shooter. If I can get to 6 shooters in my rack, we've won 20%. That would be the goal for me. If we get more than that and it happens fast, we're gonna play a little longer. Just so you know, I will call out the point in time in which I would leave the casino. And it might be when I'm at $0, but it might be when I'm at a higher number. So what I'm gonna do is this. We're gonna go ahead and, actually I'm gonna clear the board. I'm gonna show you how I set this up. I'm gonna take this down, all of it. I will reset the rack with a proper 100, and it takes $275 to get out. Okay, $100 for the don't, 175 covers your 160 plus a little bit of juice. That'll be my 5th shooter. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shooters. Bring it to the front of the rack, drop our don't pass down, puck is off. We're gonna come out, and again, I'm gonna shoot today carefully. I'm not gonna set or anything. I wanna go fast here. And there's our first getting banged out of the gate here. Come out 7. Let's talk about what's gonna happen here. I'm gonna take that chip away. I'm gonna put it over here in the ante-7. I'm gonna lock those losses here so we can track them. Out of the gate, right, typical John, we're gonna lose it out of the chute, right? That always happens to me when I'm filming. That's okay, we're gonna play this anyway. I want you to see how this strategy can recover, but we're gonna be in bigger danger here. Okay, here we go. So come out 7. I only have that much money per shooter, right? I'm not going back to the don't now. Now we're gonna have to play this thing more aggressively and a little bit more unprotected. I gotta go win that money back. So now we're on a point of 5. Again, I'm not chasing that loss with the money I had set aside for this particular shooter. We're gonna have to make this shooter work. Here we go. We're gonna go across. That quarter is gonna get 4 reds and 5 whites. I'm sorry, I just need 5 reds. We're gonna cap our 6 and 8. I have $15 in the rail. We're gonna work this front section here, and hopefully we can avoid the 7. Now the 7's gonna be a huge enemy for us. I've gotta get a couple of hits in here to see if we can't make some hay in here while we're trying to recover. Now this, I've done this a bunch of times, and it does recover as long as you can avoid the 7 for at least 2 or 3 rolls. We'll be okay. Let's see how I roll. There's aces, which will do nothing for us. That's aces right there. Okay, here we go. That's a 4, 2, 6. 4, 2, 6. What'll happen? It's gonna pay $35. We're gonna take the 6 down into our rack. Next one. Again, it's gonna take some patience here. We're gonna have to work a little bit to get that money back, but you'll see this will eventually, if we can avoid that, we can recover. That 7 burns a little bit. It's at 4 rolls and 2 7s so far. Awesome. All right, quick little recap here in the rack. We've got $30 there. I'm gonna try and get greens as often as I can so I can keep things clear in the rack so you can see what's going on. There's 80 bucks. So we're actually down 200 here, right? We started with one set, we're 275, we're down 200. We got to recover. We lost one basically full shooter here. So we're going to go ahead and pull this next shooter up. I'm going to put this back here. And we're going to work it. Here we go again. Come out. Can we avoid a 7 on the come out? Let's see if we can do it. This will be a quick video if I can't, right? If we're going to be stuck in this world where we're fighting from behind on every single roll. Puck's off by, that's good. That's a 1, 2, 3. There's the shocker, which helps us a little bit. That covers up a little bit of the loss we took before. If I drop this into the rack behind that shooter that we're behind on, we're going to start building that shooter back up again. And we'll get back to even. So the volatility here, we're going to keep an eye on how deep into that rack we get. That's the thing that I kind of, that's the way that I track anyways. How deep into my system do I get? Let's get something beside the 7 here. There's the 11, Brian, for you. So I've gotten beaten and I've won in every possible way. This is great. So again, we'll avoid the come out here. But can I break a strategy or what, folks? Can I break a strategy? Can anybody break a strategy better than me? My God. There's aces again. If we were out there chasing, we would have won. But again, I'm not going to burn unnecessary cash on a shooter when I have a certain amount of money set aside. There's a 6. Now we're going to be out here naked again. Here comes the 175. The 100 becomes 3/4 and 5 reds. Okay, there we are. We're capped out. 160 across, no protection because I burned it on the come out. So that's 2 come outs in a roll. 2 come outs out of 3 that I've gotten burned on. So maybe we should be thinking about hedging it more. Maybe I should be thinking about shooting better. I don't know. But let's go ahead and see if we can't survive here. There's a 4. 3, 1, 4. I'm just going to pay it without the VIGs today. I don't have any whites. So it pays 50. And we bring it back to the rack. Here we go. Not a great toss, but it was a 6. 4, 2, 6. We're on our second hit, which is good. 6 also pays. 35. We're going to bring the whole thing back to our rack. Start filling up that hole here, if we can do it. Here we go. That was the point, by the way. 6 was the point. Now the point is 4. In this case here, the point doesn't really matter so much because we're not on the pass line, but we do want to keep track properly for the video's sake. Here we go. Hard 10. That's great. 5, 5, hard 10. That's going to pay us 2 units. We'll bring it down. Okay. And our rack is starting to feel a little bit better. As a matter of fact, I'm going to pause and give you a quick visual count of where the rack is right now. Okay. Here we take a look at it. I'm going to pull this out here just so you can see. And again, visually, you could look down yourself during the game and do this yourself. But where are we? We lost 100 bucks. There's the 100 bucks that we lost. Okay. We started with 160. I could go 10, 6, 4. And I've already earned on this shooter a $35 profit. If you took what's in our rack, we have recovered the 100 that we lost. We're able to reset the board. I'm actually in profit right now. Okay. And I stop all the time to evaluate where I am. Do I want to stick and keep shooting right now and put that profit at risk? If I turn all this off and bring it all back to the rack, I'm in profit and I've put the rack almost back to square, but I'm still chasing 100 bucks here because we lost before. So that those 2 early losses are crushing, but the strategy is surviving, right? The volatility of this strategy is actually pretty stable. In terms of, we're going to get back, if I can get one more score hit here, we're going to be in really good shape in terms of getting our rack almost back to square. There's a 5, 4, 1, 5. Pays 35 bucks. We're going to bring it all home. And again, I've got 5 reds here now. I'm going to bring the reds, make a quarter out of that. There's the 4, 1, 5. And again, being extra aggressive here, I'm in pretty good shape in the rack. I just need to get an 8 and a 9, and we can call this shooter essentially completed. There's another hard 10. And again, if you're doing other strategies, pressing, staying up, just the 4 and 10, you're probably doing okay with some of these rolls. There's a 9, there's a 6, 3, 9. Excuse me. That will pay 35. And go to the rack and down. We have just the 8 left to knock off before that 4. And if that happens, we're going to let the roll resolve and come back out. Here we go. Let's get that 8, huh? It's a hard 6. 2 3s, hard 6. Here we go. Let's get an 8 here, huh? Another 10. Ooh, wow, we're crushing the 10s here. Love it. Again, we said this in the Crapsathon, and I think that this bears repeating. The best thing about craps, and I'm not even looking at the chat. I'm waiting for Waylon to come in and say, I would have won $1,000 on this roll, which he always does because he plays the outsides, right? There's another 6. And that's great. I think craps is cool because the same set of dice, the same rolls can result in so many different people winning so many different ways for different reasons. And that's why I think team play is where it's at, really. It's a 5, a 4-1-5. Because the same set of rolls, you can crush it as a team for different reasons. And as I said, 12 people at a table win for 12 different ways with the same 11, 12, 13 rolls. That's what makes this game so interesting and fun. And the strategy that we're on right now, another hard 6, boy, I'm just nailing this thing. Our strategy here is not designed to do that. This is not currently a buildable strategy. This is a strategy with a definite purpose and goal that we're working towards here. But that goal with this strategy is not to build. There's a 9, a 6, 3, 9. Kind of a good roll here. I'm going to talk about what you can do to build this strategy on a good roll like this, probably in tomorrow's episode. So not today, but I have a really cool plan for how to build this thing out. I may tease it later on. There's an 11. Again, let that 8 resolve. Okay, here we go. Let's get that 8. Let's knock the whole board down, shall we, Dan? That's another 9. Boy, I'm just making everybody at the table right now loves me. Right? You're all loving you some John right now if you're at the table with me. I'm just being patient, right? And the strategy, again, this is designed for a short to mid-length roll. Another 10. Is that 4 10s in this roll? Whew. Love it. 4 10s. Here we go. This is going to be the 8 right here. I'm going to call my shot. That's an 8. That's an 8. No, it's a 5. Let's get it. It's going to resolve one way or another. Here we go. Another 5. I'm waiting for the reports of how much you're winning on yourself there at home. Let's see. Let's get that dang 8, shall we? Here we go. Oh, that was piss poor out of the hands. It's a 4. It's the point. Okay. So we hit the point, and now we can make a decision. Okay, point's over. This money is still in action, obviously. Let's take a look at the rack. And between everybody's taking a breath, counting their money, let's count our money too, and let's see where we landed here. Okay, we needed, again, $275 to fix ourselves, right? Here is $275, right? There's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's a 75. This becomes a clean shot. That roll resulted in completely replacing the one that we lost. I'll put this here. Now we have 4 totally complete shooters in the rack, okay? This shooter here that we were light on, that we lost early on, has 175. It needs 275, okay? If I do this, drop one of the reds into it, that becomes a green chip. Those 4 become a black chip. And I'm at 250. Check this. If I pull the 8 down, I'm going to do this right in front of you. Actually, I miscounted. There's an extra black there. So I have what I need. That black becomes 4 reds. I've got $275. Now, if you're keeping score here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shooters in the rack, 75, 80 bucks in profit in the rack, and 30 bucks out there, right? Let's pull that down. And even though we got our clock cleaned the worst possible way, we lost a come out 7, right? We lost, oh, I'm sorry, that $100 was not profit. It's my mistake, I pulled it down. Somebody's gonna catch me on that later. We did lose 1 come out 7, we lost 1 of those. This $100 still plays in the rack. Our rack's full. Now, we're down to 10, right? Is $10 profit great? No. Is the fact that we went down the rabbit hole twice and still showed a profit on it, that shows me resiliency, that shows me profitability, it shows me low volatility on this strat. I had a great roll and it worked the way that it should have worked. I'm gonna come out again and we'll do it one more time. Here's the reds, we'll keep this aside. Let's do it again. And here we are, again, unprotected on the come out roll. And we can talk about this over time, right? What I should be doing actually is this. I should be logging the one time that we got through it without getting beat. So we had 3 total come outs. Twice got beat, once made it through. Let's make it through here. Let's get this thing evened up. That's gonna be a boxcars. Nothing happens to us there. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3, the shocker pays me. There's that. We're going to put that up here in the front. I'm not going to log come out wins. Come out wins are nice. I don't really plan for those to be part of what I'm doing. They happen when they happen, and it's always a nice little bonus, but it's not the reason why you do it. That's a leaner over here in the corner. It's a leaner that is actually a 2. It's a 6, 2, 8 on our come out. So we have survived the danger. Let's mark out that we survived it. We'll take our 175 rather, and we're going to change the 100 in for 3 and 5. And we'll come out. $15 change. So we're already doing pretty good in the shooter because that come out win, that's always a nice bonus. It makes the work here a little bit easier. So again, reminding ourselves of our danger point. We passed one danger point. The next danger point is this. We hit the 8 early, we lose the 100. So we want to hit the 8, but I don't want to hit it right away. I'd like to hit the 8 last if we can do it. And we can talk about reduction of risk down in here later on. There's a 9, 6, 3, 9. And again, start the pattern. 35 bucks on the 9, and down she comes. Okay, here we go. It's a 549. We got paid on it already, so it does not matter that we got paid on it. We're good. Pretend like it never happened. Here we go. That left my hand funny, but we got the 8, which is good for most people. Not great here. We're going to lose 100. We're going to get paid 35 and come back to our rack. Okay, and I will go ahead and color the reds up so you can see where we stand. If you look at the greens we pulled in, the greens pulled in 100. Okay, so we are okay on the shooter. We won 100. Again, not counting the 100, I'll put it over here. We earned ourselves back to the don't pass line through the wins up here, right? That's easy squeezy. It works out well that way. Now, what I'm not gonna do, I didn't take the 8 down with me, I'm sorry. What I'm not gonna do here is chase the don't now. Okay, again, the shooter's money is the shooter's money, right? I'm not gonna come out here and replace the don't. That don't pass didn't do its job, right? It didn't protect us all the way through, but we're already in profit. Whatever I do here, I've got profit, I'm good. Let's roll this out, let's get a new point, and we'll let those bets resolve themselves. There's a hard 4. New point's gonna be a 4. And now we play. Here we go. Oh, Brian, that one would have landed right in the bucket. That was a beautiful shot right there. That thing, those dice were married right in the bucket. That's a 6, 4, 10. That pays 50, and that 10 comes back to the rack. Okay, now we're doing solid here. Let's go. We're going to talk about this shot in particular. If I can get 4 or 5 or 6 to hit here, we're going to be in great shape and have a good conversation coming. There's a 6, perfect. 246 or 426, the number pays right here. $35. Get the reds, bring that thing down. Okay, and now we're at the same point we were last time, where you got a couple of bets out there that you're just going to let the table happen, right? It happens, it happens. It doesn't, it doesn't. Everybody else can win. I'm fine being patient. This is a patience kind of a strategy, and it's all good, man. I like this strategy because of that. I think it's fun to just let here, and it's so resilient to ugliness that it just kind of works out. Here's that 6-5 yo, which we don't really care about unless you're in the field, right? Okay, here we go. Let's get that in my hands right, and off we go. There's the hard 4. That's beautiful. Hard 4, it's going to pay 50 and come down. The point will be off, and I'm going to pull the 5 down. Okay, that person made his point. I'm pulling all the things down. We made an easy 100, which is fine. I'm going to put that here out of the way just for a second. Okay, just for a second. I'm going to pull the rest of my rack down, count up what we did on that roll. There's 5 reds. That'll become a green chip. And I want you to see what happens here. Just put the green out there. We lost, right? We hit the 8 and we burned our don't pass bet. Remember, we need 275. There's 100. There's 200. There's 75. That shooter paid for itself through the course of play. I'll give you 2 blacks here for these. We can put the 275 right back in the rack. Our rack is complete. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 full shooters that we started with are in the rack. And I've got another 100 out here in greens. If you take the 100 that I won on that come out roll, we're at 215. Okay? From a volatility standpoint, now that's almost 20%. We can call it right there. That's the time to leave the casino. You got 2 blacks in the rack, you're out of here, you're done. Good. From a volatility standpoint, we never got past here, right? We never, actually, we didn't. We didn't get past shooter 4. We never dipped in past 20% of our bankroll. We really rocked one shooter the whole time through that thing. And that thing was resilient. We lost 2 come out rolls we lost. We survived 2. We lost 2 points, right? The 2 biggest problems with this strategy are the come out roll and the points coming first, right? That's when you get your clock cleaned here. We beat both of those conditions twice. We got an early point twice. We got the come out 7 twice, and we still survived it. In fact, made money on it. This strategy is so resilient, and it's such low volatility. You never get back into your rack too far, even on a crappy roll like I just had. I had 1 good roll, 1 okay roll here in the end here, but you never really felt like you were in danger with this thing. And that's what I love about the Butterburg. So that's the basic Butterburg, the way that I play it. We got burned twice in the come out. We were okay twice. It's actually even Steven, right? Had I wasted $40 or $20 or $30 to get out, right? Twice we would have had to make that extra money up that would have burned into our profits here. So I think from the standpoint of illustrating low vol, I'll leave the profits out there on full display. That's not the profits, that's the last shooter. Leave the profits out here, the 215. We can enjoy them together. I think that strategy is very, very, very stable to me. I haven't lost much on it when I've played it. It definitely is low volatility for the most part. There are conditions where you lose, but you've got to have the bad things happen 3 or 4 times in a row, and it's happened. I've had I'm gonna come back to myself here. I've had situations where I've run that, and I've had the come out 7 and the immediate point hit, and you lose the whole 275. It does happen, right? The dice will come and do things to you. No strategy is perfect, but that definitely is a thing that I feel like I can play that with confidence, just the straight way. Just the straight up, take the money back to your rack, take the money back to your rack the whole time, and it worked. It worked out for us well today. And it illustrates the point. Let's go back to this screen here. So I want to talk to you about this. How expensive was it? It was 275 times 5. So it's let's do some math. 275 times 5 times 5. That's 1375 in my rack. That's a lot of money, but it's not the end of the world money. Okay, at the $25 level, you're going to need at least that. I would recommend doing it 10 for sure. Is it volatile? Not necessarily. Today was a good run. I see that a lot. When I play this strategy out, I usually only burn 1 or 2 shooters, try to get back, and then I have a nice roll. And again, the good roll here wins you 240. So you need 2 good rolls, and you can recover a full shooter, keep yourself rolling out. It's good. The win and loss conditions, we know. Come out roll is ugly. The immediate point hit is ugly. Everything else is good. Anything other than a come out 7 or 11 or the immediate point hit, and you're going to be in profit for the shooter. You're going to be okay no matter what, as long as you're disciplined about it. We know what our amounts are, right? We know what our amounts are. If we lose in the come out roll, we lose 100. If you lose immediately on the 7, you're going to lose 160 with a net loss of 60. So we know that. This does not work well in the come out roll. If I'm grading this, I'm giving it a 1 out of 10 or a 2 out of 10 on the come out roll. That's the one time you're sweating. On a 1 or 2 length roll, right? A 1 length, 1 hit or 2 hits of a box number, it's fantastic. You're going to be okay as long as you're smart with the money. When it goes 3, 5, 6, 10, 11 plus, as you saw, it works really well. It's very resilient because you're always pulling it down, right? This is one of those anti-press strategies. You're always pulling things all the way down every single time, and that's where it shows its resiliency, and that's why it's so low volatility. I love that about it. Now, excuse me, tomorrow we're going to look at the same strategy, and from breaking down a strategy standpoint, what I want to explore is how flexible is it? What can I do with the strategy? Because today we just took money down every single time. I just collect. If you look at what happens on every single payout, the 5, the 6, the 8, and the 9, you get a green and 2 reds on all of those. On the 4 and 10, you get a green and 5 reds. I want to look tomorrow at how we can reinvest the red chips, because the red chips, I think, are where this strategy can take a turn. And I have done this where I will invest the red chips into the don't come and grab 7 action through. I've reinvested the red chips into the place bets and taken the flat down and put the red chips in there and kind of regress as I go. And in a long roll like I had today, that would have been the perfect strategy to employ. It works. It's got lots of flexibility. Tomorrow is going to be all about the flexibility of the strategy. So today we know where our danger points are. We know our win and loss conditions. We know our amounts. We saw it be non-volatile. Tomorrow we're going to roll it out again, and we're going to really dig into how flexible it can be. And then we'll do some grading on it on Thursday and a longer rollout. And we might even do a little bit of trend catching there. So yeah, that's it. With all that said, nothing else to say. I'm just going through the chats real quick. I like the one regression. Yeah, the one regression hitting down is a fun one, Brian. That's a really cool way to play that. It's awesome. Yeah, we will talk more about this here for sure, this come out roll loss, how that works. Yeah, I got to run. I got a work meeting to get to. So with that said, I will see you later tonight in the Cocktails and Craps. We'll break down the fundraiser and see you then. Thanks all. Have a great day. Bye.